In this video, I'll be breaking down this gimbal setup, which is completely wireless to use for live production. So if you're doing church, live events, or conferences, even sporting events, you can use something like this. Be sure to stick around to the end where I'll break down every little piece of this rig and how to put it together. So let's go.
You gotta just press record.
Hey, what's up? It's Omar with Think Media, helping you build your influence with online video. And on this channel, sometimes we do tutorials. Other times we do various kind of setups and also live production videos, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So if you're doing a multi-cam live event, one of the coolest things you can add to a multi-cam live event is actually a wireless cam on a gimbal. It just creates a super different level of production value, adds a super awesome dynamic to your live production, and just allows you to get shots in real time. And the big thing when you go wireless is definitely not having delays. We actually use it for our church here in Las Vegas called City Light, and you don't want to be, filming whoever's singing and their, lips are off sync, or same with the drums or instruments. So we put together this awesome wireless solution using a Sony mirrorless camera, and I want to go through how we achieve this step by step with each piece of gear that you would need so you can simply add it to your current live event. So the first thing is the gimbal. This is the Zhiyun Crane 3 Lab. They actually released a newer version right when we bought this, which is all good, but that would be the 3S, which actually holds a bigger payload. So if you want to put a more heavier camera, it actually is great for that. That's about $750. And right now it's actually holding up the Sony A7iii with the 24-70 2.8 lens. Even though we have other Canon cameras for the other angles, what's so awesome about particularly Sony cameras is, number one, they have incredible autofocus. Like, they have face detection, and so I don't have to rack focus while I'm focusing on the shot or whoever's running the gimbal. Second, it has the ability to have APS-C crop mode with a flick of a button or a flick of the wrist. But I've actually programmed the trash can button on this camera to tap into that. And so at 24 millimeters, which is how I balance this gimbal, I also get 45 millimeter or so when you do that 1.5 crop math. But it essentially gives me two focal lengths without having to adjust anything. So that's a cool reason why I love Sony's. The third reason is that it has clean HDMI, meaning all the data that you see on screen is not sent through the HDMI. And I think that's huge because when we initially had a Canon camera on this, it was the 6D Mark II. It took away the preview, so we had to mount a monitor, which it got even more heavy, and then you lost autofocus and you couldn't see your settings. And so all that to say, I can switch my settings on the fly if needed, and that's not translated as far as the data goes with the feed. Now, with that being said, our switcher board is all SDI ins, and so we have to convert this HDMI out from the camera and turn it into an SDI to also send into the transmitter. So I'll talk about that next. The transmitter we are using is the Teradek bolt. And we'll put links to everything I'm mentioning in the description below. But this is a super great and reliable wireless transmitter. Actually, we had an HDMI one, so it was just HDMI wirelessly transmitted, but there was latency in the video, and so there was about a second that was off when you would cut to this angle, and we didn't want that. So we found that actually converting it and using a more higher quality SDI transmitter is in real time, and so there's no lag, and it's super reliable. We actually found out about this transmitter because we have a friend who actually works at Elevation Church, and he said this is the ones that they use on stage and stuff. So we definitely wanted something reliable and something that they even at their level could rely on. And then we have it on a small rig mount, so we can mount this on the actual gimbal itself. And again, we'll post everything in the description below, so don't worry about it too much, and check out the description if you want to see things specifically. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we have to change the HDMI from the camera and turn it into an SDI to actually plug into the Teradek transmitter. And the way we do that is by this $100 decimator HDMI to SDI converter. And you can also go the opposite direction, but what's actually cool about this one for this setup specifically is it could be USB powered. And so we actually have just like your traditional phone battery power bank to actually power this up. And so for the duration of the actual worship set, it lasts, for a couple hours actually. And so this is all in all is a super sick setup. You don't have to mount or hold anything. It is heavy on the heavy side, but for the 15 minutes to get those super epic cinematic shots for your worship set or your live event, if you want to get crowd shots or get the super intimate shot of whatever you want on stage, this is kind of the way to go. And we were super surprised at the results. Now, before I put it all together and show you the final setup, what would you use a setup like this for? A wireless gimbal setup? Would you use it for like something like a church? You can use it for a sporting event, a conference, a live event. Let me know in the comment section below what you would use it for, but let's get into building this rig. So the first thing we're gonna do is use gaff tape to tape down the HDMI to SDI converter onto the gimbal. And then to power that up, we're gonna use a USB power bank, and we're also gonna use gaff tape to tape that on as well. Then we'll screw on the small rig adapter that actually holds the transmitter, and then simply hook everything up. It goes HDMI into the converter and then SDI out into the transmitter. And then of course, making sure the USB is powering up the converter itself. So the real reason why I actually zip tie this cord in particular is I don't want to have to tug the camera and you know, maybe burn out the motor or something like that. So I always give slack, and then I tighten using zip ties for the HDMI monitor itself. And now I can like balance the camera with this here, and it's not gonna change because here's the slack. So this is how the setup looks like. Literally a standalone setup. You don't have to wear anything, no satchel, no nothing, and you're good to grab those super sick shots during your set. I could probably do a lot better on this cable management, but this works. No latency, and as you can see from the shots, it's totally leveled up our Sunday live production, and also just adds so much to the 4 angles that we have. But this is a part of a bigger setup, which I broke down kind of the whole setup of our church here at City Light. And you can check out that video by tapping on the screen, or you can check out another video from Think Media. And I can't wait to see you in a future one. Peace.